Most people are fascinated by aliens. Every time someone claims they see one, people rush to see if the evidence is real. Does the government have top secret information about aliens the public doesn't know about?
So you know how the universe is created?
Join us as we look at secret NASA extraterrestrial photos you need to see before they're deleted. Introduction. UFO conspiracy theories claim that governments and politicians worldwide, including the US government, are concealing proof that mysterious flying objects are controlled by a non-human intelligence or created with alien technology. Conspiracy theories allege that Earth governments are communicating or cooperating with extraterrestrial visits despite official disclaimers. And some think they are overtly condoning alien abduction. Stanford University immunologist Gary Nolan, US Senator Barry Goldwater, British Admiral Lord Hill Norton, American Vice Admiral Roscoe H. Hillencutter, Israeli Brigadier General Haim Eshed, astronauts Gordon Cooper and Edgar Mitchell, and former Canadian Defense Minister Paul Hellyer all confirm aliens exist.
Most important thing he said during that period was that there have been face-to-face meetings between United States officials and visitors from other star systems.
There is no proof to support their assertions beyond their testimonies. Despite extensive research by non-governmental scientific agencies, the Committee for Skeptical Inquiry finds no evidence to support them. The alien interviews. The night of May 23, 1997, Art Bell would host a special guest with no last name. The mysterious Victor. Victor allegedly sneaked a tape of an extraterrestrial interrogation from Area 51. The encounter made Victor paranoid, so he changed his voice. He couldn't explain how he got the tape. Victor obtained the interview and sold it to Rocket Pictures, a tiny film and TV production business. While trying to hide his involvement with the military's alien program, Victor did admit to meeting an extraterrestrial, but he wouldn't say where or when. He asserted the aliens were biologically representative, but had non-functional bodies. To them, the body was only a vessel, inseparable from exterior technologies and readily exited like a hatchback automobile. He implied that humans were pure spirit, but unaware of it. He felt these beings had been here before and were enacting an ancient program on humanity. The informant revealed a world of secrecy and folly, with his face in shadow and voice still electronically masked. Rocket interviewed Victor again for the DVD release in 2008. The disguised informant continued his subject of human failure. Victor believed he sneaked a 12-minute tape from Area 51. A single motionless view shows a dark interrogation room with a metal table, a shadowy guy, and technological equipment with no sound. The creature's bulbous face bobbles in a spotlight at center left. Initial motions are modest, almost avian. As the silent interview proceeds, the being retches and spasms. Doctors surround it immediately. One puts a flashlight in its mouth. Naturally, it's a scam. Victor's acting is worse than the alien's puppetry, and Rocket's lack of tact and production value doesn't help the interview's credibility. Still, the recording is genuine, an embodiment of modern suffering and concern. Lights in the sky. 5 unidentified objects. A Russian cosmonaut on the ISS posted a video of 5 objects flying over Earth. The objects appeared in a video of the aurora seen by the space station over Antarctica. However, cosmonaut Ivan Wagner, who arrived on the floating lab in April, saw something unexpected while taking video footage. 5 items flying alongside each other. The 5 objects in the strange footage are likely SpaceX's Starlink satellites, which offer internet to Earth. The bright satellites orbiting together have been criticized for spoiling the view of the Neowise comet and interfering with night sky observations. In the morning, SpaceX launched 58 Starlink satellites, which flew in tight formation. Mr. Wagner revealed the photographs a day after the satellites were launched. It's also possible that the brilliant lights were caused by ISS window glare or camera lens dust, interfering with the photos. Mr. Wagner emphasized that he took 1 photograph per second and stitched them into the moving movie, so the lights may not have moved as shown. The cosmonaut tweeted that he had informed Roscosmos, the Russian space agency, and that its scientists were performing further analysis to identify the objects. Vladimir Ustimenko, a space agency spokesperson, said it was too early to draw conclusions until Roscosmos researchers and scientists at the Space Research Institute of the Russian Academy of Sciences gave their opinions. Marine officer captured weird lights. A Marine officer at 29 Palms Military Base in California filmed a mysterious light. The base's clean skies revealed a sleek black object that appeared in one shot and vanished instantaneously. Other personnel witnessed the silent radar-invisible aircraft, generating stories of covert military tests and alien encounters. Since the Pentagon is investigating, this sighting has dominated conversations concerning mysterious aircraft phenomena. Japanese about UFO sightings. A long history of UFO encounters in Japan prompted official intervention. Self-defense troops receive UFO encounter training after pilots report them instantly. A precise process speeds sighting reaction. The sighting of 10 white orbs in Osaka is another amazing UFO report in Japan. Multiple witnesses to extraordinary phenomena can arouse public and scholarly interest. Although fewer Japanese have claimed to have seen UFOs than in the US, there are legends regarding extraterrestrials and UFOs in Japan. One of the oldest legends is The Tale of the Bamboo Cutter by an unknown author from the early Heian period. The story says an ancient bamboo cutter spotted a baby girl within a dazzling bamboo stem. She becomes a mysteriously attractive woman. Kaguya charms everyone with her supernatural charisma, and many men, including the emperor, propose to marry her, but she declines. Kaguya says she belongs on the moon and not on Earth. Ultimately, a lunar delegation brings Kaguya home. Although Emperor soldiers protect Kaguya, she is returned to the moon. This story is read at home and in school, so most Japanese know it. Although many Japanese are skeptical of UFOs and aliens, and most published records are scientifically dubious, Horikoshi Jiro, who designed the famous Japanese Zero fighter, researched flying saucers from an aeronautical perspective. Apparently, Horikoshi wrote an unpublished flying saucer research paper after Kenneth Arnold's June 24, 1947, UFO sighting. In Japan, UFO sightings have attracted many people, and Taito produced the iconic computer game Space Invaders. UFOs could threaten Japan's peace and security. Thus, lawmakers occasionally examined the matter. UFO sightings have surged since the COVID-19 epidemic. Hence, Japan developed UFO contact protocols within the legal framework for foreign military aircraft's airspace intrusion. SDF pilots must scramble to warn and order foreign planes to leave Japan if they infringe on airspace. The SDF will defend Japan if the foreign aircraft attacks. SDF pilots can defend Japanese territory with force during the defense operation. Unfortunately, Japan's legal structure and defense capabilities are not equipped for UFO airspace breaches. Still, the Japanese Defense Ministry and Pentagon are likely to continue gathering UFO intelligence to prepare for a military emergency triggered by extraterrestrials if many UFOs arrive at once. Peculiar shadow anomaly. More people interested. UFO footage showing swift, quiet movements, abrupt changes in direction, hovering and startling disappearances has piqued the public's interest worldwide. The unusual behaviors seen in the films frequently raise doubts about the origin and nature of these unidentified flying objects. Many individuals are intrigued by the potential of extraterrestrial presence or advanced technology driving such phenomena, encouraging a closer look into the data. In a comparable perspective, some people are dedicated to researching and solving UFO mysteries. For example, Boyd Bushman was a senior research engineer, recognized for his work in the aerospace sector and fascination with UFOs. He claimed to have insider information about extraterrestrial technology and phenomena.
Yeah, you can see the 45-degree candidate UFO.
Boyd Bushman's words and opinions have sparked both fascination and skepticism among individuals who are interested in UFO and alien hypotheses. International competitive and concerns about China. Only the United States has sent people beyond low Earth orbit, but experts believe the country's dominance in space could be challenged. In 2003, China became the third nation to send a human into orbit on its own, and its capabilities have since expanded. The People's Liberation Army is regarded as the driving force behind China's space program, with goals to send people to the moon and construct a space station. Meanwhile, India launched its first unmanned trip to Mars in late 2013, and the probe entered Mars's orbit in September of 2014. The Indian Space Research Organization has since negotiated an agreement with NASA to collaborate on future Mars explorations. China and the United Arab Emirates successfully deployed spacecraft into orbit above Mars in February 2021, the same month that NASA landed its rover. The Chinese mission features its own robotic explorer. The United States' greatest worry is that China will use space technology against Taiwan, resulting in potential pandemonium. The competitive edge in space might have serious geopolitical consequences, producing turmoil if one country obtains supremacy over another in this important frontier. The night of UFO in Brazil. The United States Congress is holding a hearing on unidentified flying objects and their impact on national security. The hearing had a wide-ranging impact because it coincided with the anniversary of the so-called Night of the UFOs in Brazil. For some time, the UFO collection was the most popular in Brazil's National Archive, and UFOs were also the most common subject of information requests made to the Brazilian government after Law 12,527, Brazil's Freedom of Information Act, was passed in May 2012. Immediately after the law went into force, government authorities received 37 requests for information about UFOs. As a result, the Brazilian Air Force transferred most of its UFO-related documents to the National Archives. The first request for information about UFOs was made the day after LAI went into effect, on May 17, 2012, 12 years ago. It was a request for access to all documents about UFOs. The answer was that the materials had already been transferred to the National Archives. Even today, the Unidentified Flying Objects collection is the most popular in Brazil's National Archive. The collection includes images, movies, audios, and documents ranging from accounts of supposed UFO sightings to travels on spaceships. The transfer of the records to the National Archive revealed that Brazil has an unidentified aerial object investigation system, established in 1969 to systematically study obviously supernatural UFO events. To commemorate the anniversaries of Brazil's Freedom of Information Act and the Night of the UFOs, which increased transparency in their institutions, they would resurrect some of these unusual stories to inform everyone about Varginha's UFOs, the alleged abduction of an aircraft carrier, and other intriguing discoveries they might come across in the National Archives. On May 19, 1986, witnesses from 4 states reported seeing 21 strange flying objects, some up to 100 meters in diameter. The UFOs were also observed by radars from the Brazilian Air Force's Integrated Center for Air Defense and Air Traffic Management. The Air Defense Operations Center activated 5 Brazilian Air Force fighter jets to intercept the supposed invaders. The pilots occasionally made visual contact with the targets, but the radars did not register anything. Other times, the radars detected the existence of objects, but the pilots were unable to see them. The Air Force only considered sightings with simultaneous confirmation. On May 23, 1986, at 4:30 p.m., the Minister of Aeronautics held a news conference to inform the public that 5 FAB fighter jets had pursued 21 UFOs. At the conclusion of the news conference, which was attended by the 5 FAB pilots and flight controllers on duty that night, the Minister of Aeronautics stated that the incident would be probed and that a full dossier would be published. Only 23 years later, on September 25, 2009, a report on the matter signed by the Interim Air Force Command on June 2, 1986, was made public. This command felt the phenomena were solid and represented intelligence in some way, because of their capacity to follow and keep a distance from observers, as well as fly in formation without necessarily being manned. 2 Chef Photo. On August 4, 1990, 2 young men worked as chefs in a hotel in Pitlochry, a lovely Highland Perthshire town located just outside the Cairngorms National Park in Scotland. After a long day in a hot kitchen, they traveled 13 miles north down the A9 to Calveen, a village on the outskirts of the Cairngorms, for a stroll in the hills. They hadn't gone far when they noticed a massive, solid, diamond-shaped object, perhaps 100 feet long, floating silently in the sky above them. Terrified, they huddled in some bushes and peeked up. Minutes later, they heard the roar of a jet plane heading north. In 1990, RAF Leuchars in Fife had 2 squadrons of Tornado fighters on 24-hour alert to intercept Russian intruder aircraft. The jet returned and circled the object before continuing its previous trajectory, as if the pilot had also noticed the object and returned for a closer look. Eventually, the 2 men took their camera out and blasted 6 frames. At that instant, the item soared vertically upward before disappearing far into the sky. They took their images to the Daily Record, one of Scotland's biggest newspapers, believing they had just seen a UFO. However, no report was published. Instead, the images were sent to the Ministry of Defense. The images vanished, along with the 2 young chefs. What happened to the file, the men who photographed the UFO, and how and why its presence had been concealed for 32 years was a mystery. Sadly, one man did not believe the weird aircraft came from another galaxy. He believed it was man-made in a secret hangar, and whatever it was, it is still classified as top secret and highly sensitive. The witnesses had merely had a 1,000,000 to 1 probability of being in that specific location at that exact moment and needed to be silenced. Remember, it was 1990, and the Cold War was still a year away from ending. The Gulf War began only days after. Many would argue that the globe was, and continues to be, split along them and us war lines. Since the mid-1980s, there have been tales of a top-secret, exotic American surveillance aircraft designated Aurora, a quiet, supersonic, geometrically designed vessel employed for intelligence operations. Although there is no serious proof it was ever built or flown, countless strange sightings and incidents in both the United States and the United Kingdom have contributed to the Aurora myth throughout the years. The individual is confident that the Calvine photograph depicts one of these covert programs. Meanwhile, the American administration has found it advantageous to keep the fiction of UFOs flying since it provides a convenient cover for their own clandestine military operation. Battle of Los Angeles. The Battle of Los Angeles, also known as the Great Los Angeles Air Raid, is the name given by contemporary sources to Imperial Japan's rumored attack on the continental United States and the subsequent anti-aircraft artillery barrage that occurred over Los Angeles, California, from late February 24th to early February 25th, 1942. The incident took place less than 3 months after the United States entered World War II in response to the Imperial Japanese Navy's surprise attack on Pearl Harbor, and 1 day after the shelling of Elwood near Santa Barbara on February 23rd. The objective of the aerial barrage was initially assumed to be an assault force from Japan, but Secretary of the Navy Frank Knox later branded the alleged attack a false alarm during a press conference. Newspapers at the time carried a lot of reports and suspicions of a cover-up to conceal an actual invasion by enemy planes. When documenting the incident in 1949, the United States Coast Artillery Association identified a meteorological balloon sent aloft at 1 a.m. as having started all the shooting and concluded that once the firing started, imagination created all kinds of targets in the sky, and everyone joined in. In 1983, the United States Office of Air Force History ascribed the incident to war nerves precipitated by a missing weather balloon and worsened by stray flares and shell bursts from nearby batteries. As an example of incompetence, the episode was mocked as the Battle of Los Angeles, or the Great Los Angeles Air Raid. National Geographic and Military Encounter of UFO. Sergio Loaiza. A 50-year-old photograph is causing a stir on the internet amid accusations that it depicts an unexplained flying object. The black and white photo, published by various media sites and widely shared on Twitter, depicts a saucer-like object over Costa Rica. Users claim it is the best photograph of a UFO ever captured. Sergio Loaiza, an aerial photographer, captured it in September 1971 while flying above Costa Rica on a mission to assess acreage for an hydroelectric project construction. The project was proposed near the Arenal volcano in the South American country. Mr. Loaiza used his automated 100-pound camera to take many high-resolution photographs of the lake and surrounding rainforest at 20-second intervals from an altitude of 10,000 feet. In one of the frames, a shiny metallic disc can be seen flying between Mr. Loaiza's Aero Commander F-680 and Earth. The shot was initially unclear, but UFO accusations began to circulate only when it was improved. The photograph was the property of National Geographic Costa Rica, which had commissioned the survey to investigate the potential impact of the hydropower project on neighboring land and water. It has been released by Costa Rican resident Esteban Carranza. Mr. Carranza holds a contact copy of the original negative in the National Archives of Costa Rica. He obtained it from his uncle, who secured a copy from the National Geographic Institute. The photograph has been reviewed by professionals, including Costa Rican UFO researcher Ricardo Vilches, Dr. Richard Haynes, and Dr. Jacques Vallée. They all agreed that the object in the photograph appeared genuine and was not the result of double exposure or deliberate fabrication. U.S. soldier alien abduction. According to ufologist reports in March 1956, Air Force Sergeant Jonathan P. Leavitt and Major William Cunningham were searching for scattered debris from a recent rocket in the White Sands Missile Testing Grounds near Holloman Air Force Base in New Mexico, when Cunningham heard a loud scream from Leavitt. Cunningham hurriedly traversed the dune, expecting to see Leavitt had been bitten by a snake. Instead, he claimed to have witnessed an officer with a long, snake-like arm wrapped around his legs being dragged inside a silver disc hovering over the ground. According to the officer, the object then grabbed Leavitt inside before rising steeply into the sky. After reporting the incident, Cunningham was taken in for a psychiatric evaluation. and searches for Sergeant Levet began. After 3 days, Levet's naked corpse was found. All his organs were gone. It was observed that they had been removed with extreme precision. Lieutenant George F. Gorman. The Gorman dogfight was a well-publicized UFO encounter that occurred on October 1, 1948, in the sky above Fargo, North Dakota, in the United States. United States Air Force Captain Edward J. George F. Gorman, a seasoned World War II fighter pilot, was just 25 years old at the time of the incident. Following the war, he became the manager of a construction company. He also worked as a second lieutenant for the North Dakota National Guard. Gorman took part in a cross-country trip with fellow National Guard pilots on October 1, 1948, flying a P-51 Mustang. His plane arrived over Fargo at 8:30 p.m. Although the other pilots chose to land at Fargo's Hector Airport, Gorman chose to stay aloft and take advantage of the clear, cloudless weather for some night flying. Around 9 p.m., he flew over a stadium hosting a high school football game. Gorman observed a little Piper Cub plane flying about 500 feet below him. Otherwise, the sky was clear. Gorman observed another object to his west. Soon after seeing the Piper Cub, he looked for the form of a wing or fuselage but found none. This contrasted with the Piper Cub, which had a defined form. It looked to be a blinking light. At 9:07 p.m., Gorman called Hector Airport's control tower to see whether there was any other aviation traffic in the area besides his P-51 and Piper Cub. The tower responded it did not, and contacted the Piper Cub pilot, A.D. Cannon. Cannon and his passenger responded that they could also see a glowing object to the west. Gorman informed the tower that he would pursue the item to discover its identity. He accelerated his Mustang, but realized the item was moving too fast for him to catch in a straight run. Instead, he attempted to cut the thing off in turns. Gorman took a right turn and approached the object head-on at 5,000 feet. The thing flew above his jet at approximately 500 feet. Gorman characterized the object as a simple ball of light that measured 6 to 8 inches in diameter. He also noticed later that when the object's speed rose, it stopped blinking and became brighter. Gorman lost sight of the flying object after nearly colliding with it. When he spotted it again, it appeared to have done a 180-degree spin and was approaching him again. The object suddenly began a quick vertical rise, and Gorman followed suit with his own steep climb. At 14,000 feet, his P-51 stalled. The object remained 2,000 feet above him. Gorman made 2 more tries to approach closer to the object, but was unsuccessful. It appeared to make another head-on pass, but broke off before getting close to his opponent. By this point, the object had passed above Hector Airport. L.D. Jensen, an air traffic controller in the control tower, looked through binoculars at the object, but saw no form or shape surrounding the light. Gorman proceeded to pursue the object until he was about 25 miles southwest of Fargo. He noticed the light at 11,000 feet from 14,000 feet and then plunged full strength into the thing. However, the item made a steep ascent. He attempted to pursue, but the object moved out of sight, last seen at 9:27 p.m. Gorman cut off the chase and flew back to Hector Airport. Nazca Lines. The Nazca Lines are a set of ancient geoglyphs found in southern Peru's Nazca Desert. These massive drawings on the ground feature geometric shapes as well as images of animals, plants, and other characters. Believers argue that their scale and precision indicate that they were built by alien visitors rather than humans. But the purpose and origin of the Nazca Lines are still being studied and speculated about, with theories positing that they had ritual, astronomical, or ceremonial significance for the Nazca people who built them between 500 BC and 500 AD. Baffling tic-tac-shaped UFO. A bizarre photograph was captured deep in the ocean in November 2004 while aboard the USS Princeton, which was part of a group led by the USS Nimitz. Suddenly, a strange white object resembling a mint candy appeared, adding intrigue. Meanwhile, 2 fighter jets spotted an egg-shaped object drifting 167 kilometers above the ocean. As they approached, the object accelerated at supersonic speeds, 3 times the speed of sound, before plummeting back into the ocean. Oumuamua. Oumuamua is the name given to the first interstellar object discovered passing through our solar system. It was spotted in October 2017, and its distinctive elongated shape and trajectory piqued the interest of astronomers and the public. While Oumuamua's actual nature is unknown, others suggest it could be a comet or an asteroid from another solar system. Its brief visit provided important information on the possible diversity of things outside our solar system. Mysterious ball on Mars. There have been numerous sightings and claims of enigmatic objects on Mars. including spherical formations seen in photos by rovers such as Curiosity and Perseverance, including the discovery of a mysterious ball resembling a cannonball, which has sparked curiosity. It could belong to an old Martian society or aliens, presenting intriguing questions about the planet's history. Some of these photos have sparked curiosity and fascination among aficionados, who believe they could be natural rock formations, optical illusions, or even remnants of previous civilizations. However, these statements are frequently viewed with suspicion and require further investigation and scientific evaluation. UFOs and cover-ups. Toxic coolant blob. During a recent spacewalk outside the International Space Station, 2 cosmonauts approached a coolant leak that had previously been spotted from an external radiator. The spacewalk was purportedly carried out on October 25, 2023, by Oleg Kononenko and Nikolai Chubb of the Russian State Space Enterprise as part of Expedition 70. Their main objective was to isolate and document the radiator, which had been leaking coolant since October 9th. To resolve the issue, Kononenko and Chubb worked on setting several valves to disconnect the exterior radiator's ammonia feed. However, throughout the procedure, they detected an accumulation of liquid coolant, which they referred to as a blob or droplet. Kononenko also noticed several minor holes in the radiator panels. The blob looked to be generated from leftover ammonia that was disturbed during the valve closure operation. Knowing they would come into contact with this hazardous chemical, the cosmonauts brought tissues and rags to wipe their spacesuits and instruments, preventing contamination on the ISS. The spacewalk lasted 7 hours and 41 minutes and ended when the Poisk module's airlock hatch being closed at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time on October 25th. FRBs. In radio astronomy, a rapid radio burst is a transient radio pulse that can last anywhere from a fraction of a millisecond to 3 seconds and is created by an unknown high-energy astronomical activity. Astronomers believe that the average FRB emits as much radiation in a millisecond as the Sun does in 3 days. While incredibly intense at their source, the signal strength reaching Earth has been reported as 1,000 times lower than that of a mobile phone on the Moon. Although most FRBs are extragalactic, the CHIME radio telescope spotted the first Milky Way FRB in April 2020. Astronomers reported discovering around 500 FRBs from outer space in a single year in June 2021. When FRBs are polarized, it suggests that they are emitted by a source located within an extraordinarily intense magnetic field. The precise origin and nature of the FRBs remains unknown, with theories ranging from a rapidly spinning neutron star to a black hole to extraterrestrial intelligence. Photos and trash. Adam, a film artist, received a call in 2012 from his former boyfriend Joseph, who had discovered intriguing photographs in his sister's trash. These images showed President Eisenhower meeting celebrities such as Bing Crosby and Clark Gable. One photograph showed what seemed to be an alien in a glass box, but turned out to be a dried-up child's body. The discovery fueled discussion about covert Air Force operations and UFOs, drawing parallels with the Roswell tragedy. This sparked interest in government secrets and strange military operations, including rumored advanced aircraft, such as those revealed by whistleblower Bob Lazar. It is almost impossible to think that we are the only intelligent life forms in the entire universe, but tangible, undeniable, and unquestionable proof has yet to be produced. Which one was your favorite? Why don't you let us know in the comments below? Well, that's it for now. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give us a like and let us know in the comments what you think. Check out our other videos and subscribe to be part of the fun. Click on the notification icon so you can see our new videos as soon as they're uploaded. Thank you for watching and see you next time.